Hey y'all, welcome to the Common Table Recap and Reflect podcast with Matt.
Kaliah.
And Jason.
That's his name. His name is Jason.
Yes, that's my name.
Before we started recording, we were talking about RPGs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what they actually were,
Yep.
which is a weird conversation to have, but it kind of flows with our topic today, which is human flourishing. Because human flourishing is something that doesn't come easily all the time. We often think that our lives are lacking something.
Yep.
One of the things about humans is they rarely don't want more. And so RPGs or fantasy novels is a journey towards experiencing something heroic that you don't always get in real life, which is part of the draw, at least for nerds like me. What do you think, Jason?
I think you're a nerd, yeah.
That was not the question. Thanks. So human flourishing. So in our conversations at Tulane and Loyola, I threw out 3 different phrases or trios of words that have been used in the Western world to try to encapsulate human flourishing for our societies. And so we stuck with the Western world because we're basically all Westerners. I don't know if we had any internationals involved in these conversations, which it would have been fun to have some.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But we had someone from Puerto Rico, which is, imaginary international because it feels international, but it's still the United States, which is kind of weird. Global politics, that'd be a fun talk.
I
Halloween.
think we actually are. Yeah, we are.
Halloween, the
talking about that, yes.
horror of talking about politics.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
It's true.
Be scared.
Yeah.
There's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we talk about in the United States of America,
Yes.
which comes from this older term, or series of terms, life, liberty, and property. So life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, that's like the pursuit of personal, kind of like individual flourishing. Americans are renowned around the world for being the most individualistic human beings in human history. And it plays out. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, life, liberty, and property is more about economic flourishing. Comes out of the beginning of the capitalistic movement. And then you have the French liberty, equality, and fraternity, which is a little bit more of a communal term. When I hear life, liberty, equality, I think of the Paris Commune, communists trying to take over Paris and then being violently rooted out. That's what I think about. So you have, in today's America, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness really looks like self-actualization. Life, liberty, property looks like Elon Musk. Liberty, equality, fraternity is just more communal. That's the setup for the conversation. What do you have to share with us, Kaliah?
So one thing that came up in the whole concept of pursuit of happiness for our conversation on Thursdays at Loyola was a couple of students brought up the concept of music and how really it's self-actualization instead of communal. But there were other sides of the room that disagreed and I was one of them, just because once you make music, it no longer is just yours. You'll always hear how people will say, oh, when I heard this song, it changed my life. And so it has to be communal. But the students' arguments were in the sense of but really you can't care what other people think. However, if you can't care what other people think, then music is really something that you're never going to hear from anybody because you always have to share your music. Or you can choose not to. You don't have to actually, but normally musicians share with the rest of the world so that their name is known. And just thinking that in a Christian mindset, just in the sense of how the Bible calls us to love our neighbor as ourselves. And first, we have to love ourselves and be whole with God to then share the gospel and share and love on community so that the world is changed. And so it was very interesting to see how I was connecting what our students were saying on both ends of the spectrum of no, it's self-actualization with music, but then also the other side of it's communal. And in reality, music can help change the world. It can connect worlds and countries. And just tying that into the gospel, you have to be able to receive God first.
Yes.
Before you can give out to the world. So that was just something I thought was really interesting and I wanted to share.
And beauty, we usually, if we create something beautiful, it's usually something we desire to share.
Right.
Even if it's I don't necessarily want to make a name for myself, but I want to share this because it's bigger. It's bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And so we had all kinds of conversations about what does it mean to flourish, what are the hindrances to flourishing, and I think about flourishing, and I kind of like the French words, because there's this liberty, there's a lot of freedom, because there's got to be some level of individual freedom, I think, to really flourish as a human being. Now, I think our American version of liberty is really much bigger than it's necessary. I like it because it's what I've always lived. And when people start impinging upon my liberty, I get irritated because that's just the norm that I'm used to. But I recognize that letting my liberty be squeezed a little bit for the sake of someone else is actually a really good thing. And I'm a dad, and my liberty is radically squeezed by my children.
Yeah.
Unless I don't care about them, but I do care about them.
Yeah.
And actually, I enjoy that. I enjoy them. I enjoy giving my time to them and my resources for them. And so it brings joy, it brings a sense of flourishing to my life. And it is, I guess it's literal flourishing in that there are now more humans to continue flourishing humanely on the planet. Equality, though, there needs to be that sharing and fraternity, brotherhood, and unity. And so we give up our own prerogatives for the sake of others. And so really, I think this derives, from the Bible, where individuals, Jesus values individuals. What we do, our decisions matter all the way through eternity. Even judgment will come for the deeds we do in our bodies, which I've always wondered, what deeds do you do that are not in your body? I haven't done any, I don't think. But equality, the sense that we value others, and we don't play favorites because God doesn't play favorites. And equality, in my mind, doesn't mean that everyone has exactly the same stuff. But we treat each other with fairness. And then brotherhood, we recognize one another, we work for the good of one another, and we attempt to come to unity about all things. And what stands in the way of that is sometimes our always wanting more. Sometimes we are ignorant of what we truly want. But also the sense of a lack of a center that holds. One student put it as simply as sin is what hinders humans from flourishing, or the lack of having God at the center of who we are. Because if I have a true identity, which we've talked about in the past, I can freely give away my rights. I can freely give away my resources because I believe deeply that I'm well cared for, no matter what happens.
Right.
But yeah. Any final thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, I was just thinking
nerd.
Thank you. Thank you. I am kind of a nerd. Not as well. Anyway, I was just thinking about those three concepts, though. That those the desire for a brotherhood or a community, desire for socioeconomic flourishing.
Oh yeah, money matters.
Right, and just the happiness thought too. It's I feel like those are all three things that humans want. Now, in happiness, maybe they're really thinking about just comfort and joy and just enjoying pleasures and things like that. And then in the community, we want to have a safe community together that we can just be free in that community. And then and then with money, obviously, it's we want the means to meet our needs, I would say. And all those I think are really important for human flourishing. But I think just touching on what you said, Matt, with sin, is that we as humans tend to kind of pervert these things. It's in the community, we want everyone to be the same because that's what's safe to us. So we end up barring other people in that community or outcasting them. Socioeconomic, money-wise, we end up being greedy. And then with the happiness, it's okay, no matter what I do, as long as it makes me happy, doesn't matter at the expense of anyone else. Yeah. If it makes me happy, then I'm going to pursue that. And I think that's where we go off course. And so that center that Matt was mentioning, it's if we can approach all these things in the sense of love, then we could actually truly flourish. And I think that was the whole point of Jesus, is he came to introduce love into the human systems like that to make it perfect, basically, the Garden of Eden. So that's just some thoughts.
Yeah. And the idea of human flourishing, for me, to propose that as a topic, flows from Jesus saying, "I've come that people might have life to the full, or abundant life. So much life they don't know what to do with it."
Right.
And then, of course, some of Jason's thoughts there at the end point in the direction of human freedom, which he's putting together a conversation for us this Thursday. So Thursday morning, Tulane, Thursday evening at Loyola, we'll dive into human freedom. It's going to be fantastic.
Check it out.
Rock on, y'all.